What's going on, moviegoers? So in this video, I wanted to discuss a topic that, I like talking about, and I thoroughly enjoy talking about this topic. CGI versus practical effects. Now, I'm a big fan of both. I love CGI and I love practical effects, especially practical effects. Because what some of these designers come up with the costume designs, the set designs, are absolutely amazing and beautiful. And the hard work that goes into that shit, I completely tip my hats off to these designers. They are amazing at their work. And CGI has drastically gotten better since forever. I mean, it gets crazy. I feel like every year it gets better, better, and better. And I absolutely love what they're able to do with the effects that CGI brings. It's just absolutely beautiful. So in this video, I just wanted to talk about it and talk, with, what changes and what things should be CGI and what things shouldn't be CGI, what things should not be practical, what things should be practical. And first and foremost, I'd like to talk about, the whole Apes trilogy with Andy Serkis, and even dating back to the earlier Planet of the Apes films where, CGI wasn't that advanced, so they couldn't really do the apes in full CGI and stuff. So they had people come in and do makeup and practical effects and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, for the time it was great. It was beautiful. I thought, the designs and set pieces were absolutely gorgeous. But, with the new trilogy with Andy Serkis, and that's when, motion capture really started to get really big and CGI started to, be really good, like almost realistic. And they really went that total route with it, and I was completely fine with it. What Andy Serkis and everybody who was in motion capture, what they were able to do with that film and bring out the performances of those apes were absolutely great. And the way those apes look amazing. If you watch the first Planet of the Apes, right, with Andy Serkis, and you watch the second, and you watch the third, you see a drastic change in how better looking that these apes have gotten. It's ridiculous. Like the last Apes movie, I saw it and I was just like, okay, I'm a believer that this is a real ape. Caesar is absolutely real. I'm a believer of that shit because it looks so real. The detail that goes into the the hair and the mouth and the face and the movements and stuff like that was absolutely phenomenal. It was great. And I love what, the practical effects did with the old school stuff, because it takes time putting and knitting in all that hair for those costumes. Think about all those apes they had in that movie. Shit wasn't easy, and they still look good. They didn't really have that authentic feel of an ape to it, because, they're walking, standing up or something like that, like a human. But they still were really good, and I appreciate whoever worked on that film. They worked their asses off, and I love the practical effects in that movie as well. But sometimes, I will have to say, sometimes things need to be CGI. For example, you take a look at the first Thanos in Avengers in 2012. That was practical effects. So he was this maybe 6'1", 6'2", and I actually met the guy who played him. He shops at where I work. He's an awesome guy, really nice dude. And then you take a look at what Thanos looks like in 2018. Absolutely huge difference. Like, there are definitely characters that need to be CGI and definitely characters that don't. And in this case, Thanos definitely needed to be CGI because he's well over 6 feet tall. He's massive. He's huge. He's like the size of the Hulk. And when you're trying to do practical effects with stuff like that and you really want to give the authentic feel to that character, it just won't happen. It just won't get there. And that's such a big, I can't imagine if they really decided to do practical effects with Thanos for Avengers Infinity War. I felt like it would have just fell flat. Because the CGI on Thanos in Avengers Infinity War is like the greatest I've ever seen on a comic book villain on the big screen. The detail in his face when he was crying and the tears were going to, his wrinkles, his facial expressions was absolutely beautiful. The CGI, the motion capture performance that Josh Brolin put on for that character was beautiful. It was amazing. I just bought Avengers Infinity War yesterday and I watched, behind the scenes, and oh my gosh, it took a lot of work. These comic book movies take a lot of work. not necessarily filming, but in post-production, because via special effects, they take a while, and especially if you want it to look good, really good. So in cases you have stuff like that, characters who absolutely need to be CGI. And then you have X-Men Apocalypse on the other hand, right? You have Apocalypse. Now, Bryan Singer and them decided to do more of a practical effect, more of a, let's have somebody in an actual suit and, makeup, and let's have him play. And how did that work out? Yeah, Oscar Isaac's performance was great. I thought he did a great performance as Apocalypse, but the look was not there. He was tiny. He was a small guy. He wasn't even 6'6". And when you're talking about Apocalypse in the comic book, he's like 7 feet tall. Like you need to have that authentic character from the source material onto the big screen, or unless your movie's just gonna fail. It's as simple as that. I mean, I know with like CGI, some people just don't like it. If you take a look at the 70s Incredible Hulk show, you had Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. Yeah, that was great for the time. Technology wasn't as far as advanced as what it is right now. I understand that, right? That was for the time being. But we are in now the 2000s. There is no excuse of why you can't be comic book accurate with your characters. No excuse whatsoever. Apocalypse definitely needed to be CGI, and I'm not saying that's where the movie fell flat. The movie just fell flat in general. Come on. Apocalypse is massive. He's huge. So Oscar Isaac should have been in mocap, you know what I mean? And then post-production added all the CGI and give it that authentic look. That's just me and how I feel. Even talking about Deadpool 2, right? You see the Juggernaut. You see the Juggernaut in that movie, and you're like, holy shit, that's the Juggernaut. He's massive. He's huge. That's how he looks. And then you take a look at X-Men The Last Stand Juggernaut. It's just not there. It's just not there. They went for the practical effects. And I know that movie was in 2004, 5 maybe. But it's just a huge, drastic difference between, the Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 and the Juggernaut in X-Men The Last Stand. It's just, it's a big difference, and with characters like that, like I said, with huge characters who need to be CGI, you have to put your actor in mocap performance, and you have to CGI him into the film. I mean, especially if you want to make your fans happy, and that's what you're gonna have to do. I mean, that's just the brutal truth about it. What else? What else can we talk about? Overuse of CGI. Okay, yeah, I will admit that some films do overuse CGI, right? Prime example, you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy versus the Hobbit trilogy. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is my all-time favorite trilogy in movies. All time. Nothing beats it in my eyes. Nothing. What they were able to do in that movie and capture the essence of the realistic feel to it, and having all the orcs be in, practical effects and suits and the makeup and everything like that, and the set pieces they shot on locations, and it was just absolutely beautiful. It was gorgeous. I mean, not Peter Jackson. Yeah, it's Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson? Oh my God. Yeah, Peter Jackson did. I think he did. Shoot me later for that. I'm sorry. But yeah, when you have a huge difference between that movie, that trilogy, and the Hobbit's trilogy, where majority was that shot on green screen and the orcs were all fucking CGI'd in. It's like, are you trying to save money? You're a big studio. Like, the Lord of the Rings was early 2000s, and they made that shit work beautifully. And the Hobbit was what, 2011, 12, 13, 14? Makes no sense to me. So they really went the wrong route with that, especially coming off the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, I was so disappointed. Yeah, I think those Hobbit movies are entertaining, but were they as great as the Lord of the Rings? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, but practical effects, hands down, in that movie were fucking phenomenal, and I just felt like they went completely in the wrong route with the whole CGI-ness. Even Gandalf, I forgot his actual name, had a problem with it. He was like, it's hard to act, when you're just fighting nothing, and there's a big green screen behind you. it's hard, you know. It's not authentic, you know, especially from what he was used to in the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know, and practical effects also do bring some great stuff, you know, to film, and they also create job opportunities for designers and stuff like that, because there are some great designers out there who can create some fucking masterpieces, you know. And I'm talking like costume designs, set designs as well, and even, you know, makeup, prosthetics. You know, when you talk about fantastic makeup, I'm talking From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm talking Dawn of the Dead. I'm talking The Lost Boys. You know, just fabulous looking makeup. Hellboy. All the creatures in that movie were fucking great. Pan's Labyrinth. You know, it's there are people out there who are willing to put in the work and who absolutely do a fabulous job. Absolutely do. But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about, you know, the big differences between, you know, CGI and practical effects, you know. And like I said, I am a fan of both. I really am. There are some films with great CGI and CGI that's absolutely needed. And on the other hand, there's some films with practical effects, and, you know, the practical effects look just as great as the CGI. You know, so it really depends on your film and what story you're trying to tell and how authentic you're trying to make it. You know, and like I said, some films have definitely succeeded in that genre. You know, with these big superhero movies nowadays, I know some of these films, some of them have, you know, great big set pieces, and then, you know, and then they're built around green screen because they're gonna have to. I mean, it's just too much shit, you know, going on in whatever may happen in that scene. So it's understandable, you know. So I'm happy with the work that, you know, some of these directors and filmmakers are absolutely doing with their movies when they use CGI and practical effects, and I'm not so happy with some of them. You know, that's just the way I feel. But post your comments down below, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the use of CGI and practical effects. Which one do you prefer? And all those differences between those, you know, movies I picked, from the Juggernaut or, you know, X-Men Apocalypse. I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, you guys might have different views and different opinions on it. So please post your comments down below. And thank you for taking time out of your day to watch C-Roll Productions. Peace.